Rachel's fingers brushed the rippling surface of the mirror, and the world around her seemed to dissolve. She found herself standing in a scene from her past, vivid and alive. It was a cold winter evening years ago. Snow blanketed the ground, and the biting wind cut through Rachel's threadbare coat. She recognized the version of herself from this memory, a younger Rachel, weary and desperate, sitting on the steps of a library. Her cheeks were flushed from the cold, and tears streaked her face as she clutched a paper bag containing her meager dinner, a sandwich she could barely afford. The memory stirred emotions she had long buried. She remembered that night all too well, the loneliness, the hopelessness. But then, the scene shifted. A man approached the younger Rachel. He was older, with a kind face and warm, worn eyes. He wore a heavy coat and carried a thermos of steaming soup. Rachel had forgotten this part. "You look like you could use a warm meal," the man said, his voice gentle. Young Rachel hesitated but nodded, too cold and hungry to refuse. He handed her the thermos and sat beside her on the steps. They talked for hours that night. He shared stories of his own struggles, tales of how he had once been down on his luck but had found his way through the kindness of others. When they parted, he handed her an envelope and said, "Pass this on when you can." The mirror shifted again, showing the aftermath of that forgotten moment. Rachel had used the money in the envelope to get through that difficult week, but she had never seen the man again. The vision fast-forwarded to years later, when Rachel herself had given an envelope to a struggling single mother she'd met outside a bus station. The mother, too, received unexpected help at a critical moment in her life, which allowed her to provide for her child and eventually start a small business. The ripple of that single act of kindness grew, spreading outward in ways Rachel had never imagined. As the vision faded, Rachel found herself back in the grand hall. Her reflection stared back at her in the mirror, but now it carried a sense of clarity. Illyra stood quietly nearby, her expression unreadable. "That man," Rachel said, her voice trembling, "he saved me, didn't he, and I forgot." "You didn't forget," Illyra said gently. "You carried that moment with you, even if it wasn't always at the forefront of your mind. It shaped who you became." Rachel felt a lump in her throat. "And the envelope I gave away, was that connected to this place?" Illyra nodded. "Every act of kindness creates echoes. Some are small, barely rippling the surface of the world. Others, like yours, reverberate far and wide. The archive preserves those echoes, ensuring they inspire and guide others." Rachel stepped back from the mirror, her heart full but heavy. She thought of the people who had helped her and the ways she had tried to do the same for others. "What happens now?" she asked. "That depends on you," Illyra replied. "You've been given a gift, the ability to see the impact of your actions. You can leave Fairhaven and continue your life